Happy Monday morning, everyone. Welcome to Shelley Show and Tell. I'm Shelley Hancock, and as always, I'm so very grateful that you decided to join me on your Monday morning. Today, we are having an extended version. Instead of 20 minutes, we're going to go about an hour. I have a special guest, Jess, our Chief Success Officer from Shelley Hancock Consulting, who's going to talk to us about the process of sales. We all get a little scared with that, don't we? But you know what I do every Monday morning first, my little saying. And today, they're all my favorite books, right? I say that every week. But Successful Women Think Differently by Valerie Burton. This has just been an extra special book for me. And in this little chapter, she's talking about, I love this, analysis paralysis. She says, over-analysis can lead to paralysis. Refuse to allow it in. Happily successful women are decisive. Gather the pertinent information you need to make a choice, including the information your intuition provides, then make a choice. Waiting for perfect conditions is a strategy for missed opportunities and procrastination. Disguised as prudence and caution, the process of making a choice can make it look like you're taking action and moving forward, when in fact, you are just procrastinating. You know in your heart which is true. Ooh, and that kind of goes along with the sales that we're going to talk about today, right? Yeah, that one was just extra profound to me. And this is a little story that instead of interfering with you in the middle, I just want to kind of say first is that I remember, this probably happened many times, but this one in particular that I remembered, that a woman came in and I hate the word judge, but I pre-looked at her, and in my mind, this is what she could afford, right? And as we were doing the consult and we were talking about what kind of changes she wanted to make, I'm in my mind, I'm figuring out what she wants to spend, right? And I said to her, now I have an idea of what I'd really like to do on you that can make these changes. What is your budget? I need you to come in once a week for the next 6 weeks. And she knew my prices ranged anywhere from $100 to $200 for a facial. And surprisingly, she looked at me and she says, I can afford $200 a week. Now, had I gone with what I had in my head, I would have missed out on a lot of money. I would have missed out on the opportunity to give her the best treatment possible for what she was wanting to change in her skin. So that was a little aha moment for me. And I'm sure I had more aha moments, but for some reason, that one just really stood out. So Jess, I'm just going to let you take it from here because I know you have such great information to share with us. So take it away.
I think you really nailed it home right there, Shelley, with that. Before I even go into talking about sales today, you nailed it right into there with talking about how prejudgment can really influence the way that we impact our clients when we're in a sales process. And I want to talk about prejudgment of sales and the actual energy before we even start today, because normally when I talk about sales, there's a lot of preconditioning and previous conversations that I would have with someone. So before we even talk about sales today, I really want to just talk a little bit about, getting comfortable with what you're going to hear today and just really opening your mind to the fact that a lot of the belief structure behind the word sales is that it can be, pushy or assumptive, or that there's this idea that maybe we are forcing something onto our client that they do or don't want, or that we're doing it for us. And that is actually not the case. As a matter of fact, when we're selling from a standpoint of really giving your client what they need, you're selling for them. You are coming out of your ego and you are moving into service. You're really thinking about, okay, what would be best for my client? And if I'm in my head thinking they can't afford it, they won't like what I have to offer, I'm limiting the opportunity that I might be potentially capable of giving to that person. I'm also potentially, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know why my phone keeps doing this and I don't know how to turn off my phone right now.
I can't hear it from this end.
Okay, perfect. I turned that off. I apologize. And so we're coming from a place of our limitations, maybe our financial limitations, what we need from our, skin, or what we want from a treatment, what our expectations are, but we don't know what our client's expectation is. And so we need to really position ourselves with a clean slate, really thinking about what 100% would be the best opportunity for the person sitting in front of us, and what we truly believe will bring them value, regardless of investment. Bring value first, focus on worth, focus on what it's going to give them in the bigger picture. And seeing as we're talking about, usually when we're working with a client, we're talking about product. And I want to just create a little visual for you so that you can go into, whenever you're doing a sale, thinking about what would you really want? What would you really want? I want you to think just for a minute. Imagine you remove all cost out of the equation. Imagine that it's all inclusive and everything's included for your client. Now, I want to ask you just to think about, what do you think your client would do if they knew everything was included, luxury products, additional nourishing products they could take home, and you didn't offer it to them? So they knew they would get all included, everything they would need for their at-home protocols once they had a treatment. And if you didn't send them home with those products, you better bet they would tell you, I didn't get my products I'm supposed to take home. I need to take those to better bring my skincare where it needs to go. Or if you gave your client the option, if there was no money in the equation, you gave them the option of having this over-the-counter product or this high-end luxury cosmeceutical grade, really high-quality product. So you're like, these two products, which one will you choose? If they didn't have to make, if we removed money, just completely remove it out of the equation. And you're like, this is an over-the-counter from the generic store down the road, and this is this high-quality cosmeceutical luxury grade or whatever high quality product. Which one do you think your client would pick if they didn't have to make an investment? If it was strictly based on results, quality, take some time to really think about that. And so before we go into talking about sales, I just want you to really understand that there is a prejudgment when we're thinking about money. But there's one thing that's more valuable than money, and that's quality time and quality longevity, and getting the most out of this non-renewable resource that we have, that is our health and happiness. And so today I want to talk a little bit about sales, and what Shelley just talked about really hit home, is that often we have that in our mind. It's false, as Tony Robbins says, false evidence appearing real, right? What we have is a perception, an idea. And what I want to ask you to do is, as we talk about sales today, remove your limiting beliefs, just remove all of your resistance, and just take some time to think about what it is that you really want for your client. When it comes to what I do for a living, or did for a living for a really long time, I was a coach. And I want to tell you that the parallels between the fundamentals and the architecture of sales and the actual architecture of coaching is almost identical. And so what we're going to go over today is that really beautiful dance that helps you create the experience for your client. And there actually is an architecture to sales. It's a scientific formula that helps us to better build connection and relationship. But if we come into it with limitation and preconceived notions and what we think is affordable, then we are in our selfishness. And I'm saying that in the nicest and kindest way. We're in us. And as a servant leader, someone who provides service and sells service and uses yourself as that conduit for providing energy to your client, it can sometimes be hard to add a value onto it because you're selling yourself and then adding in a second purchase, which could be product. But we know that if our client doesn't invest into all of the steps, what you do in the treatment room can be less effective, right? So they're still going to get the beautiful experience and they're still going to get that wonderful result, but we know what they want. There's a bigger picture and we need to listen carefully to where they want to be when they head to their goal, and then really align what we do for them with the 100% confidence and truthfulness, right? And so if we're willing to do that, we remove our scarcity and our limiting beliefs, and we just give to our clients 100% an opportunity to hear what education and value they deserve, without that scarcity inside us, without the prejudgment, and without downselling, and just knowing that it's our goal to give them the most beautiful experience, as if they had no limitations. They deserve that. They deserve to be given the premium offer, and then to know that I'm not gonna take a no as a rejection of me or an objection of me. I'm going to understand that's their vulnerability, and that we want to understand that if you're a little bit vulnerable, maybe there's an insecurity. Where is that coming from? And how can I help you see that investing into yourself is a deserving thing for you, and that you deserve to make those investments into you of time, money, trust, confidence. You deserve to make those, and it's my job to help you remove any guilt or shame or worry that you'll fail yourself, because we all know that a lot of times when we're hesitant to invest into ourselves is because we're worried we won't get the success that we want. So for you, as the person, the esthetician, presenting to your client the best path and journey towards getting themselves to their confidence, or conserving their energy, reducing their stress, bringing more joy and happiness into their life, and maybe addressing things that make them feel vulnerable, both internally and externally. We just really want to come to it with that joyous energy and that confident approach. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to talk a little bit about some key fundamentals of sales. And I just really want you to remember that my intention as we talk about this is to guide you to make the best decisions and to have an architecture so that you can kind of see that if you always hit that cruise control and you just do those same steps, you'll be giving your client the best opportunity from you to get the confidence in what you're offering and to get the results that they want. So you're giving them what they want and what they need, and ultimately answering their true desires. So I'm going to share my screen today and just talk a little bit about the fundamentals of selling.
Jess, can I just pipe in with one little thing before you get started?
I would love that.
Yeah, I feel like when I started in this career, almost 37 years ago now, I was almost like a young child. Like I didn't know to be afraid. I just had this childlike excitement about sharing all this stuff with my clients. And then as time went on, I felt like that's where the fear kind of crept in, is maybe I got a lot of no's, a lot of maybe next time. Then I let the fear creep in, but it wasn't like that in the beginning. So what do you have to say about that?
This is my very first slide, and I really love that, because the truth is that excitement is probably one of the most powerful things that you can use within your sales experience, the transference of energy. And often when we're young and we're new and we come on, that nervous energy is actually positive. It's a positive energy that you can give to your client. So if there's a little bit of like anxious energy and nervousness, it's probably coming from a place of honesty and vulnerability, because you don't know all the answers, but you also don't know all the rejections. And I think that it's important to realize that what you don't know is your client's opinion. So when you came in, Shelley, and you were really young and just super excited to share your knowledge, you were giving everything of yourself from a place of to you, it was super affordable. To you, it was just like, this is the answer to everything I've ever wanted. And when we put up those limitations, sometimes we block the chance to share that. And I really think that's beautiful, Shelley. Thank you for sharing that. The energy that you transfer onto your client is probably one of the most important things that you can give, that enthusiasm, coming back to a standpoint of your client is where Shelley was in the beginning. They're hopeful. They're really, really hoping that what you can do will answer their pain point or their problem. They don't have any limitations. They're not thinking about money unless they think that the value isn't there. When they come to you, if you have the ultimate answer to what they're experiencing, whether it's like their stress levels are super high and they just need some downtime and some relaxation and to just let go and just get a little peace and clarity, or they have age lines and pigmentation that is making them feel less worthy or less attractive to themselves or less confident, whatever it is, they have a pain point. And what energy we bring is the energy of confidence. Now, I want to sort of talk around that because energy is everything. You could be super confident, be like, I know this is the best product. I have the best service. I'm offering everything. And then we come in and we're like, so I really think you will love what I have to offer today. And I think you should get this day cream because that's not going to transfer. You're like, I absolutely believe in it. But when we come to it with that smile and that energy and that body language that is confident. Now, there are two sorts of avenues you can go down really with when it comes to building that body language, energy, transference of feeling. Because Shelley, you didn't know everything when you first started.
No.
You didn't know all the answers, but you had the enthusiasm and the excitement. So it is one, using your body to create energy. Preparedness is really important. When we come into any experience with our clients, it's having foresight. It's like, if you know that client already, it's okay to have a plan. That doesn't mean you won't pivot, but knowing what products you think you may want to, or that you may want to recommend, or you will want to recommend a series of products. If you've never worked with that client before, as you develop a experience with them, you can constantly be transferring your energy onto them. I love when Shelley did my experience with having a facial, where she was constantly telling me how well my skin was responding to the product. That's body language, energy, transference of feeling, where Shelley is affirming me. She was like, oh, your skin is loving this. It is just soaking in these skincare products. It is loving this piece of equipment. And that's body language, energy, transference of feeling. So there are some things that we can do to help our client feel really comfortable. And in the treatment room, you'll lessen your tone and soften your voice and slow down what you say and really breathe with your client and let them know that you are feeling really good with what's happening. And that's transferring that calm, peaceful, joyful energy. You will affirm and mirror their tone or their energy. And I know that a lot of times when we talk about mirroring and matching, that's like a little more difficult when you have someone on a treatment table and they're lying down. So you have to really use your energy, the energy that you're putting from them, pulling from you. And in order to do that, you have to calm your presence and bring in that peaceful energy into the treatment room and bring in that vision, and also just really come with a plan. Obviously, knowing your client, going over everything that you want to do with them, but understanding that your client will have energy and you have energy. So if you go into a sales process worried and guilty and shameful about the fact that you want them to do certain things other than what you're doing in the treatment experience, but that you're going to recommend product, that energy will transfer onto them. If they have insecurity about the way their skin feels, what they've been doing, they may be transferring you some of their energy. And that energy could be their vulnerability. It has nothing to do with you wanting to sell them something, but you start to feel a little bit of them. And one of the things we do is we pick up our client's energy and think it's our own. So always remembering that your energy will affect your client, and your excitement especially, and being really confident with the products that you use. And then when they're enthusiastic, when they're really happy with the results, obviously linking that back to the whole process that you used with them, and letting them know the necessity of taking products home and really being confident with that in the whole journey. So it's really about transferring your belief through energy. If you feel what you're doing is really going to help them, again, vanquishing, removing all thought of money, and just thinking about what it is you want your client to achieve on a bigger picture. So they're going to have made an investment to be there with you. And you have to ask yourself, in your belief structure and in your confidence and energy, do you think once every 30 days with nothing in between would help them move towards the goal they want on the bigger picture? So I really just want to talk about body language, energy, transference of feeling being a sense of preparedness, going in with your intention for your client. What is your intention? Where do you want your client to go with their results? And what really matters for you is to bring them the happiness and the joy, and also educate them and give them your wisdom with absolutely no scarcity. So really, I love this quote that you see on the screen right now: success happens when preparedness meets action. So when we know where we're going, just like an esthetician, you go to school and you have this wisdom and you know how to apply it with your modalities, and you know how to apply it with your fingers, and you know what you're doing and where that's going to take your client on the treatment table. And then you need to have that plan for where you want to take them in the journey of their commitment to self. And you need to match your energy to that. And really realize that enthusiasm is everything. Enthusiasm, tone, connectivity, and just transferring everything you can in the way that you feel about what you're recommending. And that is really important. So maybe you're going to go through the entire treatment and you're not going to be recommending product until the very end. You need to be excited about the experience that you had with their skin, and then show them what it is that they absolutely need to be doing in their commitments today, tomorrow, and every day. And then as well, having that energy and certainty that you'll be having with them when they follow up and come back. So there needs to be consistency in your energy, and really making sure that you recognize that a big part of sales is body language. So if when they say no to you, you're like, oh, you know what I mean? Or when they tell you something you don't want to hear, you really don't want your body language to shift. And when you see that their energy is a little bit closed, you want to come in with more open energy. You want to come in with more welcome energy. And you want to be just giving as much as you can to your client in understanding. So there's no pivot, or when someone is like, no, thank you, or I don't know, or they're uncertain, you're confident. And remembering that that energy will be consistent. When we talk about sales, it isn't always a same day thing. It's a selling of the trust, the knowing, and the liking of you. And then that relationship, it's a long-term and a short-term relationship. So it doesn't have to happen overnight. But one thing you need to know is that your energy is highly valuable, especially because your hands are on your clients. And that what energy you bring is going to help them move towards what you want them to achieve. So all the way through, and I think we all know this, okay, but I don't want to take for granted. We were talking about earlier how coaching is parallel to sales. I think rapport is everything. Rapport is the ability to build a relationship quickly with someone that could be a complete stranger at first. It's that ability to bring comfort and welcomeness and make your person feel at ease. It's the ability to show your client that you've been where they've been, or that you've worked with someone who's been where they are, and to have conversation with them in a fluid way. And what this does is it fills the emotional bank account. It brings familiarity. So when we talk about rapport, think about the people in your life. You want to build a relationship with your client. And it sounds so simple, right? Everyone's like, well, rapport has nothing to do with sales. Absolutely, it does. When we focus on rapport and our ability to really focus on understanding our client and befriending them and building that relationship, what happens is trust. So if you think of your best friend, if they give you advice, you're going to want to follow through with them. You want to seek to understand your client at any given point in your overall process. So it means that you're going to ask questions, listen very, very carefully, more listening. And one of the biggest mistakes when we're building rapport is that sometimes we do talk a little bit more than we offer opportunity for silence and connection and understanding. And so when we're building with our client rapport, our goal, and when we go into every treatment or any sales experience, this is the sort of energy and attitude, is that you want to build this relationship over a long-term period of time. And it's building that knowing so you understand. So rapport can be really simple. It can be talking back about things they've told you in the past that show that you understood them and that you care and that you want to connect. Rapport is connection, and I want you to know that sometimes rapport can feel a little bit phony in the sense of, there's the elevator conversations, right? Like, oh, how about the weather? And how are you today? And like that sports game, right? But any form of rapport is better than no rapport. So starting your rapport journey when you first meet someone, you can have those soft little conversations where you're like, are you enjoying the weather? And how are you doing? And tell me a little bit about you. And it's a little bit less connective where I know Shelley, so I might be able to bring up conversations and connect with her quickly. But when someone is really new, building rapport starts with those really simple conversations, and that really the elevator conversation. If it was a complete stranger, you might just be having that nice chat. You also can build rapport through, again, connecting rapport with body language, energy, transference of feeling. And I want you to understand that the sales journey is connecting those together. It's not one of these fundamentals all on its own. It's all of them, and really understanding where you can find that common ground. It can be understanding that the lifestyle they have, the people in their life, what they did earlier today, how they were looking forward to this appointment, and then the goals that they're seeking. And the more you come to know your client and show interest, of course, the more you fill the emotional bank account. I think we all think about like that friend when they know you really well. It's not just that they know you, it's that they know important factors of your life. They save you that spot when you guys are going out somewhere, they save a seat for you, right? Then they know your parents' names. They know your grandparents' names. Maybe they know your best friend. Maybe they know who your husband is. I know this sounds really silly, and I'm painting very rudimentary sort of ideas in and around building rapport, but really understanding that if you can't connect with someone and you don't relate with them and you don't see yourself in them or on the journey with you, then it's very hard to trust, right? Because you don't think they can empathize. Our client doesn't want us to sympathize for us. They don't want us to feel sorry. They don't want us to, be talking down to us. They want us to be on the same page. And that's what rapport is all about. It's about having a lot of fun. It's about laughing with your client or empathizing with your client, and really knowing that it doesn't matter where they're at, you're going to meet them there if they don't understand.
Jess, can I pipe in with a little story?
I felt that.
Did you? Did you feel it coming? Um, for me, this is actually the most important piece. And I tell this story always in my workshop, so I apologize to any of you who've heard it already. But many, many years ago, back in the 90s, rented space out in my spa. And one gal came in and she had at least 50 certificates from classes that she had taken, at least on her walls. Impressive and intimidating, right? But I watched her over the following few months not have that rapport. She didn't have that softness, that she didn't connect with those clients. And she literally only lasted 3 months before she had to move out because she didn't have that. So she had all that education, all that knowledge, but didn't know how to connect with the clients and thus didn't make it. So for me personally, I think this is like the biggest piece.
I could not agree more. Really, honestly, knowing that someone can like understand me, knowing that I'm not all alone on an island. Like even I remember going to my local esthetician and just being like, do you think my skin looks old? Like, tell me the truth, because where I'm at. And she just really connected. She was like, I totally understand that. I'm at a familiar time in my life as you are. And just, no, actually. And just like, honestly, her opinion mattered so much to me, and her ability to empathize and understand that like I'm feeling a little vulnerable, and just telling me her experience on her journey. And then also when you can't connect, just saying, like, I haven't personally been there, but I do really understand. So I'm never lying, right? I'm never like, oh yeah, I totally was in that exact same spot, because that's not authentic, right? But you can say and come at it like, oh, I have a client who's been there, or I personally haven't been there, but this is a vulnerability that I had, or this was a journey that I went on that isn't exactly the same, but it made me have that same feeling that you're speaking about. Yeah. And it helped me. And so I think it's really important to realize that all of the credentials in the world don't matter if you don't have that like patience and kindness and authenticity to really know. And we never lie, but then we're going to talk about a little bit about the very next fundamental. You don't have to have the same journey as your client, but you can use other people's stories or other journeys, and we call that third party. And I remember when I was really young in the sales journey, I was sitting in with a client, and I worked in health and wellness. And I started talking about all the successes of all of the other people, not using specific names. And obviously you want to keep your, privacy if you need to, but just using first names of people who gave me permission, and just being like, my client, Susan, she went through that and did really successful. And then the client that I was working with got so excited knowing that there were like other people and she wasn't alone. She wasn't alone. And when I came out, I was like, you guys, I figured something out. If you talk about other clients, that actual person you're working with really loves it. And I remember way back, I must have been 18, 19 years old, figuring out this like magic formula that I came up with all on my own, which of course we know I didn't. Just like testimonials and third party. Really, there's a lot of places you can bring what we call third party. And for a long time, I didn't even know what third party was, right? I would just be like, oh, talk about other people, and they get FOMO or fear of missing out, or they want to be a part of it, or community or team. But when I got this word in my mind, third party, knowing it exactly, I became very connected and intentional. Okay, we know where I'm going there. With what I wanted to say, and remembering to talk about it. So people want proof. And so when you're doing third party, or you're referring to other testimonials, or just telling a story, it's really about seeing and hearing and the show and tell of it. So sometimes it can be really literally opening up a testimonial book and reading verbatim the words on the page. And I know your client can read, but never take for granted that they are, right? So when you put your finger on that testimonial and you read that quote, people love to buy, but they hate to be sold to. that's the quote I have on the screen, but I'm running my finger along it. It actually gets them connecting with where you are, and you're coming to this same junction, and you're really seeing it together, and you're working together. When we talk about products, that doesn't mean you couldn't bring a product bio out. And I know a lot of people feel like they have to memorize everything, but your client can't memorize everything. So if you have like a little book with bios inside it, and you open up that product and you go to that ingredient that says this tamanu oil will help with pigmentation, and you read that verbatim, and they see it on the paper, and they hear it, and they see it on their skin, and they feel the experience, and then they see it on the page, it actually brings so much credibility. I used to think I have to memorize everything, and that my clients would think that I wasn't intelligent if I didn't know it off the top of my head. The other day I went to the doctor, and she literally got on her phone and Googled something, and I was like, oh, even doctors pull up things on Google and show me in writing. Even experts who've gone to school. Remember, you want to meet your client where you were at your earliest and youngest point, knowledge base wise. Meaning, if I come in and I'm like the mitochondria of the cytoplasm of the ATP citrulliase inside your, and the client's like, blink, blink. They're kind of like, what? This is going way over my head, right? And you're sounding intelligent. You're using all these and actually talking very intelligently and very, you do know your stuff. It's not that you're making it up, but they may not be able to see what you see. So when we come to third party, we can go to a journal. We can even pull up something that has a lot of credibility. If you're finding your client is a little apprehensive of what about that ingredient? You can pull it up. You can have those bios. You can correlate it to this testimonial, and you can third party refer to something of credibility. And you can even use this sentence. And I know it seems so rudimentary. That's what everybody is doing. Or that's what all my clients who experience pigment issues love about this product. This is the product that I've madly, deeply fallen in love with because it creates such good results. It worked for several of my clients, depending on where you are with your privacy, whether your client has given you permission to third party them and say, my client Susan really loves this product, and this is what it did for her. And then showing them visual testimonials. But if you're brand new, maybe you don't have testimonials, and that's okay. You can share a testimonial from that product line. You can show before and after photos, but always lead with a lot of credibility and third party. When we're in that sales process, and here's someone again that you can third party who's super valuable. You can say, this is a product line, or this is a piece of equipment, or this is a way of doing this that I learned from one of my mentors, Shelley Hancock. She's actually one of the gurus in the industry. You can even look her up on YouTube, and find her. She recommends this piece of equipment. And that's why everybody loves this particular piece of equipment, is because she's so trusted and valued. She's actually been in the industry for 36 years. And this is why I love this product, equipment, or technique inside the treatment room. So it doesn't have to be, I want to stress that it doesn't have to be a product. It also can be this is a series. It can be literally getting them sold on trusting you. Sales isn't about buying something. It's an exchange of energy, where I trade my time and my energy for your knowledge, your wisdom, and your skill set. So there is always a trade. Sales is not just, and that's why I love this quote. People love to buy. They love buy-in. But they hate to feel like they're being sold. They don't want to feel like all that I want to do is get your money. All I want to do is get you to buy this and leave. They want to feel like you really are giving them more, so much more than they're ever going to be investing. Thousands of dollars more in the trust, in the commitment, in the knowledge, in the research, in the above and beyond. You don't want to overpromise. You don't want to overpromise, but you definitely want to give more than you ever promise. So always lead with third party. Always remember that people believe more of what they see than just hearing. And that's why I say sometimes even reading them the bio or reading them the experience or pulling up a video and having them see exactly what you were saying being said by someone else can bring you that credibility. And so it is really, really important. And then there are so many resources nowadays that you can print or pull up and email to your client to bring credibility. So I really just want to talk about like remembering to tell stories. We know Shelley loves to tell stories. Tell stories about the journey you went on. Tell stories about the people that are experiencing it. Let them know. And I know that sometimes you're like, oh, Jess, everybody's doing it. Isn't that salesy? Not really. Like, I really want to go where I know is trusted and working. So if everybody's doing it and it's working and you're being honest about that, then they are going to get the results. And so that's why everybody I work with loves this experience. You know, Shelley's talking about, you know, doing something for herself and getting a treatment every week. And she's getting a lot of really good results that people are noticing. And, you know, I immediately I'm like, oh, maybe I need a treatment every week, or maybe I need it, right? I want it because Shelley's doing it. And there's a little bit of FOMO, fear of missing out. You know, what do you think of that, Shelley? What is your opinion on third party?
I absolutely, and third party can be as simple as your before and after pictures. For so many years, I've just opened a book and literally you don't have to say much of anything. You just show them the pictures and they're like, I'm in, I'll take it. You know, so that's a super simple. What came up for me as you were talking just then is us caring more about caring about them than the money. And you talked about an energy exchange. If we're in a place where we're in need of money at the time, and so we're really trying to make that sell, they don't know that, but our energy is coming across like that, even though we don't think it is. It is. We have to find a way to tame that, and it always be more about caring about their needs than it is about the money we're going to make. Does that make sense?
It does make so much sense. It's so important to clear your mind and have a clear intention and let go of whatever maybe financial, because your client is coming to you and giving you their time. No one gives away time. You can't get it back if they don't have something they want, and they may have more they want if you get them excited enough and if they see the results. But I really want to stress what Shelley just said earlier. Please listen when Shelley says you just open that testimonial book. If you forget, it can be very, very impactful. What I'm saying is take before and after photos. Make it a non-negotiable to show befores and afters. Make it a really something that you ingrain inside you, third party. And we talk about these first 3 steps: body language, energy, coming in, taking care of yourself, protecting your energy, knowing that you really took care of that. Make a plan, have a structure, have a system so that you can go back to it when things get a little tough. When life isn't going the way you want, having a protocol, a system, a structure helps you just to like make sure you're taking care of your client when your energy isn't exactly where you want it to be. Use your rapport, remember to connect and like be okay with that energy flow. And then use testimonials and know that these 3 are so important to you being successful through your experience and through gaining control. And we use this and automatically we're like, ooh, gain control. Like that sounds, you know, overarching, like I'm trying to be pushy or I'm trying to be, but they want your confidence. They want it. Nobody wants to come to someone who's like, I'm not sure. What do you think? I don't know. Soft and not certain. We want confident, strong, powerful, you know, people. And you can see along the side here, power of body language, combining rapport and using through third party must happen. And this is like, once we know this like science of selling, we have this structure that so many of us do, and you're already probably doing it. All I'm doing is laying a little blueprint on top of what you're already doing. Shelley does this all the time. I hear her tell stories, talk about other clients. I hear her like talk to you guys on the Zoom, and how is this and how is that, and are you still doing this, showing that she listened. I did not mention this, but third partying your client is a very powerful tool, meaning you refer to something they said to you verbatim. That's third party and will bring so much control. It's like, when you told me you wanted this, and this is why I'm doing it. Last week you mentioned, or a month ago, you mentioned to me that you were struggling with this. And now we're at a point where we can start taking care of it. And this is how we're going to do it. We couldn't do it right then because you weren't where we needed you to be. But remembering and third partying your clients' concerns, vulnerabilities, emotions, skin characteristics, goals, really important. When they finally hit that goal, it's a huge gain control to be like, we got here. Remember when you first came and you told me you wanted this and you were so afraid to invest into all of those like products I sent you home? And now here we are. Look how well it's working for you. Look how good this, validate your client. Never, all of us have a best friend we call up and we're like, validate me, tell me I'm amazing. Well, you are their best friend when it comes to guiding them in this experience. So gaining control, you have to be the leader for them, be the guide. Everybody loves that person who's like, don't worry, I got this. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. All of us are like, I have been on many calls with Shelley where she shared her time and her confidence with me. I got to go work with her and it was like, this is exactly the decision we want you to make. And they were like, perfect. What do you think, Shelley? And that's a sentence I hear all the time. What do you think? Is Shelley going to be able to talk to me? So when you talk about someone like Shelley, and you also talk about how you learned from someone like her, and then you're like, don't worry, I got this. I learned from one of the gurus in the industry, or this is an experience that I learned, where you like pull it off at the end, little things, that magical experiences where you gain control and you see yourself as this person. So I know maybe you don't, but I want you to give yourself permission. Get a Post-it out and write it on there. I give myself permission to be a leader for my clients. I am confident. I am a leader, and they will trust me because I trust me. And so if we want to gain control, and something that Shelley and I are doing is we're breaking by, I'm getting Shelley to interact. Maybe I change my pace. I pause. I soften. I speed up. I get more excited. And I know that seems silly, but please compel your client. Remember to use your speech to bring them in. Or the other day I was talking with a client about the product line, and her and I were just so excited. We were so excited. I was talking about the eye rejuvenator. I was talking about the products, and I was just so excited. And my energy literally bled onto her and back to me. And we were just like talking so fast. And then we take a breath and come back, and then me gain control by making sure that I was like, that's a great point. Let's go into why that's important, and then slow down a bit or pause for a second to make some space. Silence is golden. And I think a lot of us are afraid to leave that silence because we're anxious, especially when we come to places where we're closing. Now, I want you to keep in mind, when you're gaining close, you see this soft close written on the page here, and back selling. And what that is when we confirm, where we're like, if I can help you with this pigmentation, is that something that would be of interest to you? And they say, I would love that. Or if I have a tool, or if I, confirming, or what I feel we could do is this. And then you get that confirmation where you're like, do you see value in hydrating your skin? Never assume that your client sees the urgency that you see. I don't know if everyone knows, but I used to work in the weight loss industry, and I used to assume all the time that people, when I was very young, knew why it was so important. They would even tell me where they would see themselves in 5 or 6 years, and it wasn't very good. And so I would assume they would know why it was so important. And that was a huge mistake I made in my industry, was assuming that my client knew the value of what it was I was going to offer and had the urgency. to see what brought them there and what it could mean for them to have healthy skin, or that the skin can like filter even hormones and has a brain connect. You don't have to go super deep, but never assume that they know what you know, and never assume that they have the urgency you have. So always be showing and telling. And we couldn't be on a more appropriate, we're on show and tell. So you can see how important it is. It's what we want to convey, that make it visual. That means like get a mirror and show them what you changed on their face. Next time they come in, show them their own before and after, and really watch your cadence and your energy. Cadence is kind of the like canter. And when I say canter, that's the way a horse walks. It's like clippity clop, clippity clop, clippity clop. That dance that a horse does, like one leg and the other. That is the same thing here. It's like a nice dance or flow. And so it's fun and interesting, because we lose our, focus. You'll lose your client's focus. Even now, as I talk to you, come back to me. If you're looking at your computer, if you're scrolling on your phone, can you just come back to me for a second? I know we're doing it. If you're over there thinking this isn't important and I already know that, come back to me. Be with me for a moment, remove the distractions from around you, and do that for your client. The distraction could be in here. There is a monologue inside there where we're like, I need to sweep the floor later. Oh man, gosh, oh my God, I'm going to be late for my next appointment. Make sure you get your client to come back to you. Let them decompress. Let them decompress. Give them permission to be present. Give them permission to be with you during the journey. And just even saying that, like, if you're a little stressed right now, take a deep breath. Slowly exhale. Is there a monologue happening inside your head? Let it go. Okay, let's be right here where I'm helping you succeed, and I'm selling them on patience. I'm selling them on connection to self. Do not rush. I know you have a lot of appointments, and you might be fast forwarding to your next client, thinking, I got to get out of here. I don't have time to sell them this product. Maybe it's at the end of their treatment, and you think that's less valuable, right? You're thinking, I did the treatment. That's what the client really wanted, but I don't have time to sit and talk with them. Post and pre and post consultative approach really is where a lot of value happens, where we're like educating, and it could take like 60 seconds, 2 minutes. But all of a sudden, making the client feel rushed with their questions can really change the overall experience. What your client is going to most remember is that last thing. So check in with them emotionally. How are you feeling? Even after they spend the money, if they spend money especially, check in with your client about how they felt, because the last thing they're going to remember is the spending of money if you stop right there, or that maybe negative conversation. So always remember, when we're gaining control, we really want to be bringing our client back to us. I also want you to remember that resistance, apprehension, questions, curiosity, that's what that is. Curiosity. So before we're like, oh, they're rejecting me, they're resistant, they don't like what I'm talking about. No, make a pivot. What if you change resistance and rejection to curiosity and a need for more education, more information? Maybe it's not going to happen in this first session, but I just want you to know that you'll document that in your client's chart, and you'll come back and third party them, and you'll talk about it. But just remember that resistance is not rejection. So stay confident, and it's very important. I know this is what would give you the best results today and here. It will take compounding to build up on your skin, and that's going to take time. Microcurrent will give you results today, but if you were using it consistently at home, we'd be able to get you even better results. Let me show you some before and afters where someone who did that, right? So gain control. It is very important to not feel like you're being bullying, but more so that you're being confident, right? Like you're befriending. We go back to that rapport. We're befriending. We're filling the emotional bank account. We're giving them our confidence. We're being that leader and like, I got this. I got this. And even in the sales process, that is so important.
Yes. Two words for some reason just popped into my head as you were saying that. We want to be soft, yet solid.
Yeah.
I don't know why those two words just popped up right now.
They don't need you to be scared. They need you to help you with that, right? Like you're not being mean or pushy, but if you know, and there's something I didn't say earlier that I want to say now, you should believe in your heart of hearts, like deep within you, that you would be doing your client a complete injustice if you let them walk out the door with the things that you are, without the things that you are offering them, that it would be doing them a disservice. I understand they may not be able to, but that confidence doesn't change because they can't today. You offer them the best of the best, regardless of what they drove up in, how they're dressed. You give them millionaire service. You treat them equal to everybody else. You do not look at them and downplay the quality of service they get because they don't look like someone else who drove up in a Mercedes Benz, right? Don't prejudge. Give every one of your clients that $1 million service, $1 million offer. And I say that all the time. I'm going to show you what I believe is absolutely best and a few options for you. And if we can create something that feels comfortable for you, is that of interest? And of course it is, depending on the conversation. I wouldn't come in cold and say something like that. So yeah, be soft and gentle and compassionate. Heart-centered is such a big word. When I met Shelley, she literally emailed me that, and I have that in my own verbiage, in my own branding. I have heart-centered, and then I got an email because she didn't know me from the team being like, we need to do heart-centered selling. And I was like, oh, I'm going to love this human, but she didn't know me, right? And sales is my specialty. So she thought I might come in and be like, you need this and you have to have it. And I didn't. We actually had the exact same vision of being, and that's why I love working with service-based entrepreneurs and business people, is because when they provide a service where they are the service, generally in my experience, all service-based, like estheticians, massage, they're heart-centered. And that's why I love working with that particular genre and wheelhouse. And that was third party. That was me saying, and that's why I love working with these people. They're amazing.
Jess, we're down to the last couple of minutes. I have a feeling we need to do a part two of this whole process, because I don't know about anybody else on here, but I'm really enjoying this and getting so much out of it. Would you be willing to come back for a part two on this?
I would love to do that.
Bookmarking where you're at, and in the next couple of weeks, we'll book to come back and finish this off.
Yeah, keep in mind, we could study just one of these fundamentals and really understand the difference between like commitment and belief and control and all of these things like so deeply. And I encourage you to go out and just like dig deep into like the passion and the heart-centricness of all of these fundamentals, because I am going very high level and we've already used 60 minutes.
It's really great. So everyone, we got a little heart there. Thank you, Laura. We'll make sure we put it on the schedule when you're going to be back, probably in just a couple of weeks. I think I have an opening. And just thank you so very much. This was fabulous. And everybody go out and have a great day. Make it a great day.
Thanks, guys, for spending some time.
Thank you so much, Jess.
Bye-bye.